A reading from Isaiah. In the year that King Uzziah died, I saw the Lord sitting on a throne, high and lofty, and the hem of his robe filled the temple. Seraphs were in attendance above him. Each had 6 wings. With 2 they covered their faces, with 2 they covered their feet, and with 2 they flew. And one called to another and said, Holy, holy, holy is the Lord of hosts. The whole earth is full of his glory. The pivots on the thresholds shook at the voices of those who called, and the house filled with smoke. And I said, Woe is me! I am lost, for I am a man of unclean lips, and I live among the people of unclean lips. Yet my eyes have seen the King, the Lord of hosts. Then one of the seraphs flew to me, holding a live coal that had been taken from the altar with a pair of tongs. The seraph touched my mouth with it and said, Now that this has touched your lips, your guilt has departed, and your sin is blotted out. Then I heard the voice of the Lord say, Whom shall I send? And who will go for us? And I said, Here am I, send me. The word of the Lord.
Thanks be to God.
We'll read Psalm 138 responsively. I will give thanks to you, O Lord, with my whole heart. Before the gods, I will sing your praise.
I will bow down before your holy throne and praise your name, because of your steadfast love and faithfulness. For you have glorified your name and your word above all names.
When I called, you answered me. You increased my strength within me.
All the rulers of the earth will praise you, O Lord, for they have heard the words of your mouth.
They will sing of the ways of the Lord, that great is the glory of the Lord.
The Lord is high, and yet bears the low, perceiving the haughty from afar.
Though I walk in the midst of trouble, you keep me safe. You stretch forth your hand against the fury of my enemies. Your right hand shall save me.
You will make good your purpose for me, O Lord. Your steadfast love endures forever. Do not abandon the works of your hands.
A reading from Paul's first letter to the Corinthians. Now I would remind you, brothers and sisters, of the good news that I proclaimed to you, which you in turn received, in which also you stand, through which also you are being saved, if you hold firmly to the message that I proclaimed to you, unless you have come to believe in vain. For I handed on to you as of first importance what I in turn had received, that Christ died for our sins in accordance with the Scriptures, and that he was buried, and that he was raised on the 3rd day in accordance with the Scriptures, and that he appeared to Cephas, then to the 12. Then he appeared to more than 500 brothers and sisters at one time, most of whom are still alive, though some have died. Then he appeared to James, then to all the apostles. Last of all, as to one untimely born, he also appeared to me. For I am the least of the apostles, unfit to be called an apostle, because I persecuted the church of God. But by the grace of God, I am what I am, and his grace toward me has not been in vain. On the contrary, I worked harder than any of them, though it was not I, but the grace of God that is with me. Whether then it was I or they, so we proclaim, and so you have come to believe. The word of the
of God. He saw 2 boats there at the shore of the lake. The fishermen had gone out of them and were washing their nets. He got into one of the boats, the one belonging to Simon, and asked him to put out a little way from the shore. Then he sat down and taught the crowds from the boat. And when he had finished speaking, he said to Simon, "Put out into the deep water and let down your nets for a catch." Simon answered, "Master, we have worked all night long, but have caught nothing. Yet if you say so, I will let down the nets." And when they had done this, they caught so many fish that their nets were beginning to break. So they signaled their partners in the other boat to come and help them. And they came and filled both boats, so that they began to sink. But when Simon Peter saw it, he fell down at Jesus' knees, saying, "Go away from me, Lord, for I am a sinful man." For he and all who were with him were amazed at the catch of fish they had taken. And so also were James and John, sons of Zebedee, who were partners with Simon. Then Jesus said to Simon, "Do not be afraid. From now on you will be catching people." And when they had brought their boats to shore, they left everything and followed him. The Gospel of the Lord. Praise to you, O Christ. Please be seated. You know, it's been a long time since I've been fishing. And I think, as a matter of fact, a few years ago, we were going through our cabinets, and I threw away all of our fishing gear. I remember opening up the tackle box. Those plastic worms were kind of melted together. The lures were all rusty, and the hooks were kind of nasty. And there was a rat's nest of fishing line at the bottom of that. But it kind of made it out to the trash pile. Figured, well, if I wanted to fish again, I'd have to start all over again. But it was really no great loss, because I'm not very good at fishing. I've caught my share of rocks. I've caught lots and lots of slime and algae. I've caught all kinds of other weird things, but no fish worth mentioning. I did have good luck one time. When I was a kid, we went to Wisconsin to see some friends, and there we went out in a little boat, and I had a bamboo pole, and we put a rubber band on the end of that, and we caught more than 100 fish a day in 2 different days because they were spawning, and they didn't want anybody bothering their beds. Now, that was not so much my skill, but it was lucky timing, because the fish didn't like those things intruding on their spawning beds. You know, with my fishing ability, it's not really, I'm not really worthy of catching a fish, if you will. It would be a great mistake on their part if they latched hold of my hook. And it's interesting that we hear today that Jesus was dealing with some fishermen. He had been walking around the countryside. He had been teaching and healing, because that's what all the Gospels are about: Jesus teaching and healing and teaching and healing and teaching and healing. The crowds were getting larger and larger. And one day the crowds were so large when he went there around Lake Gennesaret that he didn't have room to even walk. He said, well, there's 2 boats. So we got into one of them. You know, the owners of the boats were cleaning their nets, kind of fixing them, making sure there weren't any holes in there. Maybe that's why they didn't catch anything. It had been a disappointing night. We can imagine that they are fatigued. And as they are checking those nets, Jesus comes and said, Simon, just kind of row out into the lake a little bit. We can almost imagine Simon. You know, I don't know who you are or what you want, but I'm too tired to argue. Lucky for you, you've caught me at a weak moment. So I'll go ahead and do what you want, Jesus, and I'll row out into the lake. And as Jesus is speaking to the crowd, we can imagine Simon kind of dozing off. It had been a long night. Even people sleep through Jesus' sermons, I think. And when the crowd was done and Jesus' teaching was over, he said, well, Peter, why don't you go out into a little deeper water? And again, Peter sighed and said, oh, Master, we've been working all night. It is worthless. We have caught nothing. But if you say so, we'll go. I don't want to argue. When they got out into deeper water, he pulled in the nets filled with fish. So many fish, it took 2 boats to bring them all in, and so many that they almost sank. And Peter knew a miracle when he saw it. And he looked at Jesus afraid. Lord, leave me alone because I am a sinner. I'm not worthy to be in your presence. Jesus said, don't be afraid, Simon. From now on, you will be following me, and I will teach you to fish for people. And Simon and his friends dropped everything. Because how often do we say, Lord, I am not worthy. Lord, I can't do that. I am not worthy. It's a familiar call for a story for many of us, the call of the first disciples. And most of us want to keep it that way. A story that relates to the disciples. A story we can keep up here in our heads and say, yeah, I know how that happened. We really don't want anything to do with that because it's scary. And we can tell it's scary because Jesus uses that all familiar line, do not be afraid. The Gospel of Luke is filled with that phrase. Think of when the angel came to Elizabeth, when the angel came to Mary, when the angel came to Joseph, when the angel came to the shepherds. All of these times we hear, do not be afraid, because we are afraid, and for good reason. You see, Jesus, who was a carpenter, tells Simon, who is a professional fisherman, how to catch fish. And it worked. It had to be surprising. My gosh, what in the world is he doing? It had to be scary. Is it any wonder that Simon said, Lord, get away from me, for I am a sinner. I am not worthy to be in your presence. I am not worthy. You are asking me to do something I am not qualified to do. What do you mean I will be catching people? Because all I can do is catch a few fish with a bamboo pole and a rubber band. But Jesus is speaking to us, each one of us. And first of all, if Jesus waited for us to be worthy to love us, to save us, to call us, man, we would be waiting forever because it will not happen. We are not worthy of anything except being thrown into the scrap heap. Luther said we were just gut-wrenching sinners. But Jesus loves us anyway. Because remember, Jesus' mission is to preach good news to the poor, to release the captives, recovery of sight to the blind, and to let the oppressed go free. Jesus is speaking to each one of us there. We are the poor, the captives, the blind, and the oppressed. Yes, there are lots and lots of other people in the world who are captive, who are hungry, who are oppressed to the point of death. And Christ comes for each and every one of us as well. And my seminary professor used to often say that the picture of Jesus knocking on the door is bad theology. Because if you're familiar with that, the door has no handle on the outside. It has to be opened from the inside. Well, Kurt would always say, all we can do is look out that little window and say, Jesus, I am not worthy just let me clean up the house or something. The deal is that Jesus comes in anyway. We don't have any control over that. Jesus resides within us regardless of what we do. We hear those words, do not be afraid. I will take care of it. I want you just the way you are. And now I have something for you to do, Jesus said. I want you to catch people. And how will we do that? Because that always frightens me. We do that by accepting others just the way they are. This last week, we had our monthly national call-in for the leaders of the One Year to Live retreats. We often talk about, what the guys are doing at the various retreats, kind of how we're following up. There's a guy from South Carolina who really does this well. He says, what do? We have cookouts, we have other activities that men, just average men, show up. We meet them where they are. We are there to help each other. God doesn't even always come up in the conversation. Yeah, maybe after some time together, a guy might show up at church. Later, a mock guy might get involved. But evangelism is about caring for others. It's not counting heads. It's not counting tails. It's not counting how many people have converted and given their life to Christ, because Christ has our life anyway. We don't have to give it to him. He's already got it. Caring is about listening without judgment, without trying to fix the other person. Caring is about being present. That makes things a lot easier. I don't have to worry about what to say. I don't have to worry about that. I am just there to listen. Because how often do we need someone who cares, who will listen to me without saying, that was really dumb, and this is how you go about fixing that. We don't need that. We need somebody that says, I am here, I care, and I will go along on the journey with you. Throughout our lives, Jesus shows up in the most surprising of places, meeting the most surprising of people, and he loved them all. And he is with us today, not just in this sanctuary, but even more so outside these walls in our everyday life, doing our everyday things, where Jesus says, I love you.